All right, welcome to the Great Old Ones channel. Here I talk about role-playing games, specifically some certain role-playing games that I've liked to play in my youth. And we're back again to talk today a little bit about Rolemaster First Edition. And today we're going to talk a little bit more about Spells Law. We've already covered Spells Law on its own, but we're going to talk about the individual branches, you might want to say, of Spell Law. We'll divert our efforts here towards talking about channeling magic. And I brought Gonzalo back again since he is another uh, great old one who likes Rolemaster First Edition. So let me go ahead and bring him on. Let's see how I do this here. There we go. He should be
Hello,
appearing.
sir.
Yeah. Good afternoon. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well. I'm
Well,
getting a little sunlight today, which is nice.
well, we're a little cloudy here where I'm at. Had a little bit of rain overnight, but we needed it. We
Yep.
needed the divine intervention, which is I think what we're going to be talking about today, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll jump right into it a little bit here. Let me throw up on part of the stage. Let's see if before adding to the stream, stop sharing. Let's see. Ooh, where did it go?
I'm
Present.
sure I don't know.
Invite the share screen. Share screen. The PowerPoint slideshow. Here we go. There it is. All righty.
Gotcha.
Back to our nice uh, font, which they used heavily in first edition Rolemaster. They modified it a little bit for subsequent versions, but this definitely grabs your attention. With all the little sharp, jagged edges there, it looks like it hooks you in, if I can go for some more puns today.
Yeah, it's an interesting. It keeps in line with the Rolemaster First Edition stark, uh, black and white. I know this is not on a white background, but most of their art is just black and white and hand drawn lettering. No idea what this. I presumably this symbol is just a symbol that they came up with for this book and doesn't I've never
Sure.
seen it anywhere as representing channeling anywhere. Maybe it does.
Not
Um,
that I can recall either. I mean, if I would have picked something, I probably would have made it maybe look like a C, but it's just fancy scroll work. So there we go. It's an S. Yeah.
yeah, but the artwork
Yeah.
is I just love the artwork. It's it looks arcane. It looks like it's this you're getting ready to open a tome of secret knowledge.
Oh, absolutely. And we're trying not to keep Rollmaster secret. That's why we're presenting it. Yeah.
And the other thing is that I now channeling is essentially and I think did I put their actual description in one of the slides here? Let me. I've got this one. I've got the slides pulled up here locally too, because
I
it's kind
can.
of hard to read. But it doesn't look like I actually put the description of channeling in here. I thought I had, but
No, it's just here's your more artwork, magic
yeah.
items, and stuff of this nature. The of channeling part and some magic
Well,
items there. Yeah.
what channeling is in Rolemaster is it's one of three realms of magic spell casting, and channeling is the the realm of you channel power from your deity or some other powerful being through yourself and out into the world where you are, and that channeling can take um, any form. It can be damaging, it can be healing, it can do all the same kind of things other types of magic can do. It's just that the source of power is being channeled from another powerful being.
Right. And for other game systems, people may be aware of that was similar to divine intervention. You're praying to your god for spells and things of that nature, and this is um, it's kind of that step, and actually adds a little more to it.
I this time I on this one I decided to kind of put a lot of the artwork on one page early on in the file, and the way this book is essentially like a uh, it's got this kind of teal color or seafoam color, and it is basically done on, I don't know what you would call this.
Wasn't exactly cardstock. It's colored paper, sort
Right.
of. But
It,
yeah,
and it didn't have a hard cover. That first page that we saw was just the same cardstock or paper stock that the whole booklet is made out of. Um, and so this
no,
file right
yeah,
here, oh yeah. Um,
yeah.
so there's no hardcover. It's just the same consistency all the way through. And this page, you can see I've included some artwork and some magic items. The way they did things in first edition Rollmaster with each realm of magic, the only place there were really any, there might be some in not in character law, in campaign law. I haven't fully read through campaign law yet because I only became aware of its existence a couple months ago. Uh, I thought I had a complete first edition set. Now I do, but I didn't.
Yeah.
But as
Through
far
our
as,
discussions, I actually
yes,
taught you
yes,
something. How
that's
did that
right.
happen? Yeah.
Thank you, and I
Mm,
appreciate it. And then I snapped a copy of it up before anyone else could get their grubby little hands on it.
absolutely.
Um,
Can't have a complete collection without everything, right?
right, I have to have
Yeah.
everything. The There's a couple of, and what they did was in each booklet of each realm's magic booklet, in they included magic items that were used magic from that realm, which is, we can see a couple of items in here. This first sword at the top, the light lane sword. um Now I'm going to read some of this stuff, and it may not be possible to understand some of this stuff without referencing other game systems. Once again, like I said, we at some point we're going to have to start our drinking game every time have to
We
mention.
say something about a different set. Yeah,
Yeah,
take a
every time.
shot. Yeah.
We'll
Oh, I'll
try
start
not to.
today. I've got my coffee. Here we go.
Okay.
Mm.
I haven't Irished up my coffee, so um,
We want to do that kind of drink. I
yeah,
got it.
yeah,
Yeah,
that's what I
okay.
meant. Yeah, it's a little early. So at light lane sword plus 25% to melee. Now, when you think plus 25%, the Rollmaster system is all percentage dice. So plus 25 in this would be like having a plus 5 in another system, which is a lot. That's a massive amount of bonus to a magic weapon. Flames on command to give a heat critical when a weapon delivers a serious blow. Now, this is kind of interesting um, in terms of the history of Rollmaster, because this is very early on, and this is sort of left a little more open to interpretation than some later editions of Rollmaster. I mean, what is a serious blow?
Right. Yeah. The game master would have to decide. Well, because remember, if we refer back to the discussions of arm law and stuff, it wasn't just you hit, you did damage. There was levels to that was built into the charts and stuff. And at this point, it's up to the game master to decide what he considers to be serious, as opposed to like other game systems. And here we go. They're going to take another shot. Refer to things like critical hits and stuff like this. Well, it's a little different for Roll Master. So exactly, this part left some discretion up to the game master to decide when it was appropriate to deal the
Yeah,
additional damage. Yeah.
and also notice it's flames on command to give a heat critical, not an a heat critical, a heat critical. So it doesn't even say what A, B, C, D, or E heat critical is delivered. So
That
there,
again probably be up to the game master to decide. How was the role playing going on with that particular character? Was he really at the table emoting his god and all this stuff? Maybe I'll give him a C heat critical, but
yeah,
he was just kind of not fully into it, not really playing his character. We'll just give him an A, right?
yeah, I
To
would,
encourage role play. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. I mean, definitely, I did that. I, as a GM, when I run Rollmaster, I definitely, if you are not carrying out your god's will pretty well and don't have a good relationship, you will pay a price. And I've even had their channeling abilities just completely shut off when they just absolutely were being blasphemous to their deity. But
But
I would
that's the
say,
way it should be.
yeah,
It's a role playing game. You should be encouraging the role play aspects of it. Maybe not everybody show up in costumes to the game
no.
to that extent, but at least get into the role. Yeah.
And but what I would do with this one, if it were me, I would say, okay, well, this is a plus 25 weapon. That is amazingly powerful. So I would say the power level of this, you should start at the E criticals for this, and then subtract from it if they're not living up to their compact with their deity. But given the plus 25, I would equate each plus 5 to a letter in the 5 different letters for criticals. That's just how I would do it. You could do it any number of ways.
Sure, that's fair enough. Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah,
And then
you're right. Plus 25 is pretty hefty whack.
this,
That's
yeah,
that's
this
out
is
of a
a
D100 system. That's a lot of points.
this is
Yeah.
a weapon meant to, like, this is on the level of, some of the most powerful weapons in Lord of the Rings. I would say this level of power.
Well, I mean, a lot of other people might be familiar with things like Flame Blade or something, but that's just minimal stuff. This is not quite a Wrath of God type of thing, but it's on the up level, headed that direction. Yeah.
Yeah, and so also too, fires a jet of flame as a firebolt times 5 hits up to 5 times a day with the utterance, I summon the absence of cold. A times 5 hits firebolt.
Ooh.
I mean, that is, you easily could destroy, one shot just about anything short of a super large creature. It's definitely within the realm of being able to do that.
Well, yeah. Maybe as a game master, I am not putting that weapon in a troll horde randomly in the mountains. No.
And then there's, you can see there are other things here. We've got the Dark Lane sword, which is essentially the cold version of the other sword. Except for it also provides immunity to all cold and is highly intelligent, which once again, that isn't really fleshed out in first edition. It's just an intelligent sword. It's up to the GM how they would. Now, you would never. I've never given a character in any of my campaigns anything approaching these levels of powerful items. But I
Yeah,
think
these are the artifact level thing. This is too eye candy for the game master and the players that have snuck a look into the book to go, ooh, I want one of those. Where can I find one of these? And the game master will have to plan it, deep down in the dark recesses of the earth somewhere, guarded by several Balrogs, not just one, and they'd have to go win it away from them, kind of thing. Yeah, these are the what is possible type weapons.
And the last one down here is Bar of Samanor. It looks like a big 2-ended club. Target struck is affected as per Absolution Pure, which is a spell in addition to normal damage usable once per day. We'll get into Absolution once we get into the spell lists, because of the examples, like I have all the lists I've included here, but I've only picked 2 spell lists where I've included the actual descriptions and everything. However, I have the book here, so as we go through these lists, if you want me to look up anything, just let me know. I got the book right here.
Well, why don't we fire up the Absolution since you just mentioned it? We'll take a look at what that does. So there's everybody that's watching may have an idea. Hey, what is that?
Okay, well that's I can do that. Let me find it here, because
what I'm thinking of looking at that club is that's the absolution you get from the Spanish Inquisition, I think, right?
You're right. And well, that said Absolution Pure, and I wonder, is it on this list? Let me look at. No, this is.
Seems that would be a bit of a higher
Channeling
level.
of channeling is the list that's on. Or channels is the name of the spell list. It's the third. I mean, if we want to do that one first, you have to go down to like the third to last. I think slide, and it'll
Okay,
show.
well then we'll try to remember when we get to it. Then.
Oh yeah, we will. I've got a whole.
In order. Yeah.
I've got that whole list. If you want to just go, you want to go to start looking at spell lists here.
Yeah, let's start looking at some spell lists there. Exactly. Kind of a busy page, but this is what they look like.
Yeah, and I have crammed 2 sets of lists. You've got open channeling spell lists. Well, actually, there's 10 open channeling spell lists. And so I've got them all just listed here because it provides you the name. You can see the name of the list at the top of each column. Yep. And then there's a number going 1 through 50 through them. The name of the list gives you a general idea of what the spells in the list are about. And that's,
yes.
This is this is
The
a
theme, basically,
yes,
your theme, yeah.
exactly, a theme, a theme for the spells in the list, and um, that's kind of a thing that is unique to Rolemaster, at least at this time in the early '80s, is that as you spell lists are a concept instead of just individual spells, you get spells within the spell list, but they're all interconnected by that theme and become more and more powerful the more spells you pick from that list.
Sure, sure. And if you wanted to role play your character around certain themes, this gives you an idea of hey, this is the concept I have. Oh, here these spell lists kind of match that theme. Yeah.
Right. I know people probably can't actually read this stuff unless they have their screen all the way expanded.
Yeah, they got their face right up against the screen trying to read these things, but we can, give them some examples of what's in there.
So you've
Certainly,
got spell defense, spells like protection,
that's the
channeling
first one.
shield,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
essence shield, mind shield. Now, essence shield and mind shield would provide protection effects against essence and mentalism, which are the two other realms of power in Rollmaster.
Right.
um, spell shield true. Once you start getting higher and higher, and the numbers along the side of each of the columns are the level of the spell. So you typically want to be pretty close to, if not at or above the level of the spell to cast the spell in Rollmaster. You can try to cast spells above your level, but um, it can cause problems. And
Especially if you're trying to channel energy
yes,
from a divine being and you're not sufficiently powerful enough to handle it. Yeah.
barrier law. Oh, and just open channeling. What open channeling lists are? They are channel lists that anyone who learns channeling can learn. Anyone can learn these spell lists, whether you're whatever, no matter what class you are, you can learn spells from this list. So barrier law, air wall, water wall, wood wall, barrier pit, and wood wall true, water wall true. As you start getting higher level, you start getting they add true to the names of spells that are particularly powerful that don't have as many, perhaps some drawbacks of some of the lower level spells. Um, ice wall, stone wall true, meld walls, curved wall, wall of
Yeah.
force is the 50th level spell on that list. Detection mastery, detect channeling, essence, mentalism, life, detect curse, detect undead, detect traps. I think detection mastery might be one of the lists that where I've actually put all the actual spells from it in one of the slides in this, because this is a particularly handy one in my opinion.
Sure.
Um,
These are utility spells that definitely have a high use.
yeah,
Um,
and
and,
and
and, and they seem to be forgotten, which is odd. You know.
I'm a big fan of. I'm always the kind of player that when I play a spellcaster, I like to take those utilities. I love to make use of these kinds of spells because for one thing, I think game masters, because players are so want to. I want lightning bolt. I want fireball. I want magic. I want all these damaging. I want to be able to do all this impressive damage. I think game masters assume that's the prevalent mindset, and therefore when they're designing things or encounters or whatever, they tend to pack the encounter with things that can resist those kinds of things as much as they
Sure.
can.
Yeah. Right. And the utility of these things is in order for me to plan tactics and things like this, I got to kind of know they're there.
Right. And like
Yeah.
something like detect undead. Maybe the GM, it's not uncommon for like a GM, I think, to ignore spell lists or these kinds of spells and not take it into account and then expect to be able to surprise the party. And these kind of spell lists will often catch a GM by surprise, in my opinion.
Or at least keep the GMs on their toes.
Yeah, yeah,
Exactly right. Oh no, my all my zombies are hidden behind this wall and stuff over here.
right,
That's great, but
yeah,
but I can do detect magic or detect undead, and I know there's a ghost that's incorporeal right over there.
right, exactly. what's the location true is the 50th level spell there, and then we've got lofty movements. Also, this is a good list to bring this up, and you can see there are blank spots on these lists where, for example, you don't have a first through a fourth level spell, or no, I guess you don't have a first to third level spell in lofty movement. So the first spell in the list is a fourth level spell. There simply isn't a first, second, and third level spell.
Right.
That means when you do a I mean, first edition Rolemaster uses these alphabet picks A, B, C, D, E. So if you did the first pick in this, you would only get the fourth and fifth level spells, limb walking and stone walking.
Yep.
And water walking, merging organic allows you to like merge with trees and stuff. Limb running, wind walking, great merging organic, wind running, a word of return. These are all about traveling great distances or traveling in a unique manner. Once again, utility spells that are often overlooked by players and GMs alike.
Right, and highly useful, especially the higher level spells and stuff like this, like the word of returning and word of return and returning spells and stuff like this. Where, hey, we're in a lot of trouble. We need to get out of here, beat feet quick, and we're surrounded. And well, hey, wait a minute, I've got a spell for that. Yeah,
Well, and I do have to admit, since we're mentioning 50th level spells, I have never cast a 50th level spell, nor have I ever been involved in a game where there was any time anyone ever casted a spell that high, unless there was an item or something. I've never gotten to 50th level in Rolemaster ever. So
no, me neither. I've never played in a game. I've played in some long running campaigns, but they did not get to that level. I mean,
19th level is the highest level character I ever had in Rolemaster. Which I think, as we discussed before, is my view of that is, and I would say 19th level is more like 0.75. If you multiply that points by 0.75, you would get the levels you might expect in some other game system. So 19th level in a more common game system might be, like 14th level,
sure,
or something. We've got weather ways. That's pretty obvious, controlling weather. And then we've got some a little more kind of tightly focused. And I don't know if they're more tightly focused, but it's just kind of a different category. We've got sounds way, which is speech,
yeah,
quiet, sound wall. Lights way, which obviously you understand. You can see here we've got shock bolt at 7th level under lights way. Shock bolt is a directed spell, so that I don't know if that's the case I think it was a 4th level spell in later editions of Rolemaster, but Shock Bolt was the lowest level directed spell you could get in the standard system. I don't know if that's the case here or not, but
well, I mean, yeah, you can do damage with channeling, but remember, channeling the theme is somewhat using divine influence, if you want to look at it that way. So a lot of it would be with the omniscience and all knowing, all seeing, as opposed to being all powerful kind of stuff.
even
So
channelers
so
need.
later on, you would, when at higher levels, you'd be able to use that power for damaging purposes.
Well, yeah, and you have to develop directed spell skill to use it, which you
Mhm.
can't do until you have a directed spell to cast. You can't just
Yeah,
start buying up levels in directed spell casting until you can cast a directed spell. So,
yeah. How are you going to practice,
right,
right? Yeah.
right. Purification, disease purification, poison, disease resistance, mind disease cures, unpoison, undisease, mass undisease, concussions ways. This is your standard healing stuff. Healing,
Right.
frostbite
These are
relief.
the more familiar spells to other game systems, right?
Exactly, and so when you see something like you got frostbite relief or frost or burn relief, you can in
Mhm.
Rolemaster you can receive critical hits which give you damage from frost or burn or like bleeding or all these other things. So these spells do relate to injuries you can sustain in Rolemaster.
Yeah, exactly. If they put it in there as something that could affect a character, they're going to put something in there also as a way to counter it or deal with it as well. Yeah, it's a definitely a complete system when it comes to that kind of stuff.
The most important spell on that list, in my opinion, is the 5th level spell, Stun Relief.
Oh yeah, so many hits, even low level hits cause stun,
If you
and
get,
for
yeah,
for a couple of rounds duration, I mean that could be deadly in a fight.
you cannot attack when you're stunned. You can't cast spells or attack when you're stunned, and I believe you can only move at 50%. Depending on how what other factors, but yeah, and it's very common to get stunned in Rollmaster. Like every single combat, somebody gets stunned. So that's a very handy spell. Nature's Law, plant lore, herb lore, stone lore, speed
Hmm.
growth, stone speech, animal mastery. I mean, those are all fairly self-explanatory. So that's those are the open lists. Those once again, just a reminder, those are lists that anyone who buys ranks in a channeling, anyone who can buy channeling spells can cast these spells.
Yes, exactly. This is, I know channeling. This is what I can get after. Right? You're at the generic level. Yeah.
Yep,
All right. Let me click the button here, and we will move on to. There we go. Closed channeling spell lists.
that's right. Now, do you want to describe what closed means in this context?
Well, closed is the ones where you'd have to be in a specific profession that uses channeling as opposed to just general use.
Not a
Um,
specific profession. You have to be a pure channeling user to do closed lists. Professions, there are profession spell lists later. Closed spell lists are ones that you can't be a hybrid spellcaster. You
okay.
have to be a pure channeling user to cast these. Subtle difference, but it is a difference.
Mhm.
Um, so here we've got Blood Law. We've got Flow Stop. We got somebody in the looks like we got somebody in the comments
Oh,
there.
yes, we do. Oh, Telemachus. Hey.
Hey, dude, how you doing, man? Thanks for dropping in.
Yeah.
We're just discussing channeling realm of magic in first edition Rollmaster.
And if I could type, this would actually help.
Typing is good. It is
Yes,
useful.
yes. Well, I can type. Typing correctly is another story.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a completely different thing. Um, so Blood Law has Flow Stop 3, Clotting, Flow Stop 5, Limb Preservation, Cut Repair. So once again, you can lose limbs. You can get a wound that bleeds
Mhm.
until you stop the bleeding. You could take a two, like take 5 hit points. You might have 80 hit points. Take a 5 hit point wound that bleeds 1 hit point around, and if you don't stop that bleeding, you'll bleed out.
Exactly. And which takes less time, binding a wound or casting a spell? Yeah.
Right. And you can rejoin lost limbs. As a matter of fact, that 19th level character that I had in Rollmaster was a half orc warrior, and he had one of his legs cut off by a vampire ogre in a combat, and we had a very high level healer with us at the time, and she was able to rejoin his leg to his body.
Nice. Reattach severed limbs. Awesome.
That's right, yeah. And
Yeah.
this set of closed channeling spell lists are all about healing. Bone law, organ law, muscle law, nerve law. These are all areas of being wounded that are specific to criticals and various ways you can get injured in Rollmaster, and
Yep.
you need these kinds of spells to survive in a Rollmaster campaign.
Yeah. Again, like we mentioned just a few minutes ago, there's this kind of stuff is all over the damage tables. There, you need to have some way of being able to deal with it one way or another as part of the game. Um, so you need a channeling expert with you, a pure channeling user expert with you to be able to handle a lot of that stuff at a fast enough level.
I think a lot of people that come to Rollmaster from other game systems, when they first see these spell lists, they're kind of like, meh, these kind of spells, you're kind of like, okay, but it's hit points. You took hit points a day. I don't think until you actually play Rolemaster and see the utility of these spells, you don't really understand until you've been in some Rolemaster combat.
Right. We'll comment here. I got to answer real quickly.
Our group was fascinated by the spells that cause nasty diseases. The descriptions were frightening. Yes, they were, and we're going to cover some of those. Although there's some other spells we're going to get to later on here that were I have a campaign story about some specific spells that yeah, descriptive. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. So then we've got the second set of closed channeling spell lists here. These are more, kind of generally useful. They're not healing, but they're also very kind of good utility lists. Locating ways, guess, pathfinding, location, memories path, all about kind of figuring out where things are or which direction you should go in, or you get hints from your deity about if you come across a 50-50 choice and you have no idea, guess will allow you to it
Sure.
will increase your ability to correctly pick a path. Now it doesn't tell you exactly what the answer is, but it guides your instincts in a way.
Or it
Later
gives
on,
you an omen or something to follow, or
right?
a hint or something is dropped that the channeler would understand as being the clue. The casting of the bones, or your god's animal is an owl, and you cast this divine intervention, and then you see an owl fly out of the tree and head west. Right, there's
Exactly.
your answer. Yeah.
Exactly, and I think that's I I think we all know one of the main complaints people who are not fans of Rolemaster is the density of the rules and the charts and everything. But if you apply some interpretation, if you extrapolate to things happening in the real world rather than just saying, "Oh, here's the result," like you just said, where
Mm,
you don't tell them
yeah.
here's the answer. You hint at the answer. You do things that guide the role play.
Right. You still want your players figuring things out. You're not giving them the answers. Well, let me roll an insight check and
Right.
I now give me the answer. No, that's not exactly how that works.
Right. Right. We've got calm spirits, calm one, calm two, hold kind, true hold, shout of calm. You really get up in levels on that list, and you can start basically high level channeling spellcaster could just stop a riot.
Sure.
Um, Creations, food production, fire starting, nutrient conjures, um, herb mastery, all super useful things out in the field going on adventures. Symbolic ways involves creating symbols for magical to store magical spells, things like that.
Yeah, glyphs for things like defense or set traps and stuff like that, right? Mhm.
Lore, afterthoughts, detect evil, detect curse, detect haste, um, and Rollmaster is, especially first edition, is kind of vague, and eh, the way they handle quote unquote evil in first edition Rollmaster is not as focused as a lot of the other areas of the game. Um,
Right,
but
because there is no alignment. Right.
right,
You got to you it's the general bent of how things are going, and you need to figure out that sort of stuff by the enemy's actions, reactions, and how they deal with things, and what they say, as opposed to just flat out telling you, well, he's neutral evil. It doesn't exactly. It's more role play to it. Yeah.
yes. However, as we will see later, there are spell lists that are designated as evil spell lists.
Oh, sure. Just by the nature of what they do.
Right, right. But I kind of think, and we'll get to them here, and I'll talk about more about them when we get to them. But I have some opinions on those.
All right. Let me hit the next button here. We'll go to. All right. here's your here's your specific profession based
Right.
channeling lists as opposed to not just closed lists, but these are profession based. Yeah.
You must be, for example, the healer based spell list, you must be a healer to take these spell lists.
Yeah.
You have to take that as your profession. Heal 1 to 10, frost, burn relief, stun relief, regeneration. This is a more powerful version of the previous healing thing that we've seen, but you must be a healer to do this. And healers, this kind of healing for healers in Rolemaster works a little bit differently than just the general healing, where a healer in Rolemaster, someone who is actually a healer for their profession, takes the wound from the person they're
Mhm.
healing onto themselves and then heals it from themselves. So first they draw it off the person onto themselves, and then it heals on them.
Right.
Um,
Not the same type of thinking from other game systems. Yeah.
right. The other open list is a little more similar to some other game systems. And then so we've got surface ways, bone ways, muscle ways, organ ways, and blood ways. And these are all very similar to the open healing lists, except for they get more powerful, and the functioning that we talked about, how the healer class works.
Oh, would have loved to have these spell lists working on an ambulance. I'll tell you that. Even the low levels of it would be fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah. And then we've got
Yeah, we got our animist list down at the bottom. That's animist is not a very familiar class to certain level of gamers. This is not a real common thing amongst other games.
oh, it's essentially a druid.
A little more to it than just that, but yeah, there's a
Yeah,
lot.
that's the closest thing that you
Yeah.
could to correlate it to something else. Nature's movement, limb walking, water walking, swimming, merging organic. Once again, these are um, similar to some of the open lists, but more concentrated and more powerful because you're an animist as your profession, so you're rewarded with more focused, more powerful spells in these areas: plant
Mhm.
mastery, animal mastery, herb mastery, nature's lore, nature's protection. I mean, you've got animal form at 15th level under nature's protection. Um, uh, let's see,
Yeah.
we've got some weather stuff under nature's lore, herb finding, animal summons. Okay, well, so and there is I didn't realize animal mastery had absolution in it at 30th level. I just now noticed that. I guess I
Well,
knew it.
you're a channeler. Why wouldn't you have some sort of form of absolution? You
Well,
know.
it's just weird under animal mastery to me. But the asterisk, and something we haven't pointed out yet, at least in this live stream, the little asterisk there means it's an instant spell. So an instant spell, like a lot of these spells, you have to take time casting them. They may take one or multiple rounds to cast them.
Mhm.
Whereas instant spells, not only can you cast them in one round, you can cast them with using very little action in the round. You still have like
Yeah.
90% action after you cast an instant spell.
And the other thing the viewers may be able to see that doesn't have a readily explanation on there for either is the C next to the spell.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I don't know off the top of my head what I think that means concentration, probably.
Concentration, right? You had to, even though you cast a spell, there was a certain duration stuff that had to go. Except for, why would regeneration 3 be a or regeneration 2 be a instant spell and a concentration? I don't know. I'll
Well,
have to
when we get deeper into first
get,
edition and we
have to
can,
look at it again, then
yeah,
double check. But right,
yeah.
um,
I mean,
it
we
isn't
can.
a fire and forget kind of thing. Yeah.
Hopefully we're going to wind up at some point, like actually having some playing out some combats in Rollmaster and showing people how it works. That'd be
Sure, we
nice.
can do that. After we explain
Yeah,
a good run through of how the system is built and all that kind of stuff. We
yeah,
can show some examples. Yeah, tie it all together.
exactly.
Let's see. Let's go to. Did it click over? Ah, here we go. Ooh, evil cleric. Well, the top of the page is on my. It's on my monitor. It's all written out. I'll have to look over here and squint on my screen. Here is another um, class specific spell list at the top. Yeah,
Yes, the
your
ranger based spell lists.
Rangers, yes, which
We've got
is and these Rangers are not the same Rangers that people may be familiar with from um,
other systems.
like Lord of the Rings movie. You know,
Oh, right.
Aragorn being the ranger. They actually expanded on that kind of role. Now, Aragorn didn't understand plants and things like this and what Kingsfoil was and all that kind of thing. But this class in Rolemaster expands on that knowledge and expands on that and fleshes it out a whole lot more than we got an explanation for in The Hobbit and the Lord of the Rings, right?
Yeah, and contrary to many other interpretations, I mean, I guess it's all other systems often have rangers having kind of more wizardy spells as part of them, whereas this is straight up wizards or rangers are straight up just channeling in Rollmaster.
Well, and then in a different game system, they're druidic
Yes,
abilities, if you
they
may
have that
recall.
as
Right?
well
Yeah,
as like magic user spells.
yeah. And
Um,
then some other systems and stuff branch out to making them not just druidic in nature, but as well they animal handling and things like that too.
So
Yeah.
the other thing, and something that we should be probably mentioning a little more often when we're talking about this spell system in Rollmaster is that you don't memorize spells in Rollmaster. You once you have a list, you know the spells, and you can cast them as long as you have PowerPoints to cast
Yeah,
the spell.
we
You can
discussed
cast the
that when
spell.
we talked about spell law specifically in the other video.
Right.
That you basically you're not memorizing and casting a particular spell off your spell list. You're expending your power points for the spells that you know.
And a spell, whatever level a spell is, that's how many power points it costs to cast. So if you're 10th level and you got 80 power points because you've got a magic item that doubles your power points or something, you can cast the same 5th level spell over and over 16 times
Right.
if you wanted to without
Because
once.
you've got enough remaining power points left
Right. I do
yeah,
think
use.
that, in my opinion, that is an improvement over spell memorization systems. Just for me personally, I like the system of as long as you have power, you can cast whatever
Yeah, it's got a
spell.
lot more flexibility, but it comes from a different mindset of what the spells were over. You're talking about Bansian magic, and that's another video that come a little bit later. It's a different philosophy on spells.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
So we've got path mastery, like night vision. I'd love to have my ranger that I have in your game to be able to cast night vision. That would be awesome. Um, moving ways,
Yeah. Yeah.
hide tracks, limb running, traceless passing, swimming through nature's guises, hues, shades, self cloaking, light, darkness, shadow, plant facade, animal
Mhm.
thoughts, inner walls, heat resistance, cold resistance, bless one, prayer one, sterilization, protection from elements, resistance 3, undisease, uncurse, unpoison, nature's
Oh,
ways. I'm sorry, what were you gonna say?
now, unpoison would be a highly useful
Yes, yes.
spell
There,
in the
there are
Friday night game.
certain systems which will remain nameless that the poison is way overpowered. And
Yeah.
I mean, not that
True.
you can absolutely kill people in Rollmaster with poison. Don't get me wrong,
Yeah.
but you have a few more choices on how to deal with it should you get poison than some other systems.
Right.
Um, Nature's
Sure.
Way, outdoor trap detection, water finding, good one. Fire starting, storm and rain prediction, food finding, shelter or water purification, shelter finding. I mean,
Right. And
uh,
that's stuff traditionally thought of for Rangers is that kind of thing too. Yeah.
oh yeah, absolutely. Um, so that brings us to the evil
We
cleric
mentioned
base.
that a few minutes ago. Exactly.
Right. So this is where I think in first edition they got this wrong. I don't get a sign like I understand why people call it evil, but other than these being categorized under evil, there's really no other category of evil and good in the game other than these one-off spell lists that are listed as quote unquote evil. It's probably not good to do this to people, but I don't see that this stuff for the most part is any worse than blowing somebody up with a fireball or lightning bolting them. I mean, you're still killing somebody.
Sure. Well, looking at some of these things on there, we can, if you just go back to the historical lore for things like witches and stuff like that, a lot of the
Sure.
stuff on there was attributed, the people didn't get sick; they got cursed by witches and stuff like this. And a lot of that stuff you see in there was traditional witch type behavior and stuff of that nature. So maybe that's they kind of lumped it into being bad.
I mean,
Necromantical things was always been considered evil, um,
yeah,
traditionally, historically.
I would say it gives you guidance. I mean, it is obvious. It gives you guidance for these spell lists. I mean, disease, chills, gray vision, smelling loss, tongue rot, leprosy, hemophilia, malaria. I mean, plague. The 50th level spell on this is plague. Dark channels, dark stunning, channels one. This is the one that has absolution in it. We'll get to talking about absolution here later on. That's the
Right.
spell that I was talking about that we in our campaign we were in. We our group just made it our goal to go slay any channeling user, any priest who could cast absolution. We're just going to track them all down and kill them. That was like a secondary goal. The entire this 5 or 6 year Rolemaster campaign I was in was
Including
kill
all the good ones. Yeah.
anyone who can cast absolution
Anyone.
gets the axe. Um, Dark lore afterthoughts, detect good, detect hate, um, detections holy, dark lore, blessings analysis, dreams true. This is a little more like
Well, yeah,
find
we've already run through a similar list, but this
yeah.
is this is your detecting the opposites of what you were referring to on the other um, lore list.
And more concentrated, more powerful than the open lists or
Mhm.
closed lists. Curses,
Ooh,
detect curse, night vision curse, ulcer curse of Dake. That doesn't tell me anything about what that does. I'd have to look it up. Excommunication. Um, I think excommunication probably does something where it interferes with another channeling.
another channeler, right?
Yeah.
It separates the bond of that channeler from his divine influence. And
Dark thoughts is the 50th level spell on that list. I might
wasn't
have
there a
to take a
movie
look.
called Dark, or is that a TV series, Dark Thoughts? But yeah.
Necromancy. We've got obviously necromancy is common throughout all lots of different fantasy things.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Creating and controlling undead.
Yeah. What do we got here? Oh, one more list of. Okay. We
Yeah,
probably should have put the bottom half of this page up closer with
yeah,
the front of it, but that's
it,
okay.
yeah,
We got it in here. We can talk about it.
I,
Astrologer.
yeah. So
Aha.
this is there's no longer an astrologer in Rolemaster, but it was in first edition. If you'll notice, the astrologer has 6 dedicated spell lists as opposed to 5 like everybody else did.
Mhm.
So we've got I mean, everybody. It's obvious. I think most people know generally what an astrologer is.
It's
I don't know if they. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
it's all yeah. It's all information gathering. Exactly right. This is another pure utility um, spell user there. Yeah.
Uh,
Gathering information and
yeah, and using the stars and stuff to gather that information. Now, this is typically not a class that players pick.
it's
Uh,
probably why it went away in subsequent versions. Yeah.
but I love that it's there, and I absolutely would play one if I play in another first edition Rollmaster thing. I absolutely would play one. Guess, intuition, vision guide, anticipation,
Mhm.
spell anticipation. Um, so time returning. I don't know what that 50th level spell does, but you can do a lot of things with this. Way of the voice, speech two, mind speech, suggestion. Ways of communicating and commanding things. Holy vision, star paths. Now, this holy vision spell this is one where you really can, as
Mm.
the GM, incorporate lots of imagery and culture and role play stuff into the use of this spell list.
Right, because you got to get creative with your descriptions and stuff. Yeah.
Times Bridge, Guess, Intuition 3, Vision Guide, oh wait, I included Times Bridge twice. Oh, I messed up here. I included the same
Oh,
3 spell lists. I'm gonna
same
have to
three
go.
spell lists
I'm gonna
over and
have to
over
go.
again.
I'm sorry about
Okay.
that.
I just
Let me
noticed
look
that.
it up
Yeah.
here. So the other spell list, I'm looking at the book here, which I messed up on this thing. So we've got Far Voice. So that's got like Star Voice, Mind Voice. Like Star Voice is 100-foot caster may mentally speak to another astrologer. So only another astrologer can they communicate with.
Sure.
Star Voice True is Star Voice, except caster may speak to another astrologer as far as the horizon if it is clear in night. Then there's Starlights, Projected Light, Self Aura Light. This one also has Shock Bolt on it. Oh, and it's actually 5th level on this one, so you can get Shock Bolt as an astrologer at 5th level. Flare, Beacon, Light 3, Lord Aura. Auras are pretty interesting things. Let's see, Lord
Well, yeah.
Aura's. We'll see what Aura is. Self Aura.
Well, as far as shock bolt goes, each section has to have some means of either defense or offense. A little bit, maybe not
Yeah. I mean,
excessive, but yeah.
um, I'm sure anyone who plays an astrologer is thankful that they have some offensive spell capability. Um, Star senses, presence is caster is aware of the presence of all sentient thinking beings within his range. Location gives the direction and distance to any specific object or place that the caster is familiar with or has been described in detail. Mind store.
Mhm.
Caster stores mental pattern of a target, can be used later to locate specific person through finding.
Mhm.
So yeah, I mean these are now there's other let me scroll down here. So I included the channeling stuff here for some reason.
What's
Um
the what do
channeling
you mean?
what's that?
What do you mean the paragraphs?
Yeah,
I
the
think
paragraphs.
a deviation that people may not be aware of when we look into that paragraph is inorganic substances, notably metal, interfere with the drawing of power from deities, which is contrary to a lot of concepts of channeling users for other game systems. Yeah.
Yes.
Hmm.
And it just gives the description. Channeling represents the power of the deities of a given world as channeled through their followers or other spell users. That's a very succinct description. It is spiritual and religious in nature and is independent of the essence, which is basically the magic user realm of power in
Hmm.
Rolemaster. Um, a spell user of this realm may draw his strength from his respective deity and often does not require that deity's cooperation. This is especially true with a spell user that is employing relatively weak or subtle spells.
Right.
Once you start getting up into casting more powerful spells, then the deity starts getting pissy if you're not on good terms with him.
Right. More divine intervention for how he's got to how he provides you with that power. You better be on the good side of your of your benefactor. Yeah.
I included this little red square area because I think there was a little editing mistake in here, or at least a editorial mistake. Because it says the spell lists are also grouped in units. These collections are based on the spell user's various backgrounds within the greater realms of power. A lay healer's background and living experiences often differ significantly from the past life associated with a pure mentalist. Why are we talking about, like, they're using a lay healer as a mentalist, not a channeling user?
I think sounds like just they probably repeated that example in all the other ones. It's an example of
But then it says thus
what they
certain
mean by the
spell lists
differences.
will be
Yeah, they could
easier.
have used channelers as their examples
Yeah.
to illustrate their point in that paragraph. Yeah.
Yeah, it just seemed weird to me, and I just pointed that out. We pretty much spend all of our time in here kissing Rollmaster's ass. So I try to any little like the evil channeling list and stuff like that. I try to call out what I perceive as
Yeah, let's
mistakes.
get our digs in as well, right?
Right, exactly. Um, so I
Here,
guess we've got
Click it over to the next one. Hey, let's look at some. Oh, there we go. Let's look at some
channels.
spells. We were talking about absolution
Yeah,
when
well,
we first started all this out because we had a nice club that we could absolve people with. Well, let's take a look at. Well, this is yeah, the absolution is right on there. 14th level spell.
yep. And the
Yeah,
name of this spell list is channels. This is the most central spell list of channeling, and we'll go right to number 4, the 14th level spell, and this is absolution.
yeah.
Target's soul is torn from the target's body. It remains
Ooh,
in whatever place souls go for 1 week, 10% per 10% failure. So if someone casts absolution on you, your soul will be separated from your body for 1 week per 10% you fail the saving throw or the resistance roll. They don't have saving throws, it's resistance rolls. And once again, just as a reminder, uh, in Rolemaster, the level of the spellcaster and the level of the target highly influence how easy it is for you to resist magic. If you're going up against a 20th level spellcaster and you're 5th level, you're in trouble.
right.
Because a 5th level spellcaster casting the same spell, you'd have a much better chance of dealing with the exact same spell against that opponent than you would a 20th level spellcaster.
He's able to channel more power into it. He's a better effect. He's more practiced with it if you wanted to look at it that way. Yeah.
Yeah, or his just life energy. The way I look at it is just his life energy is stronger. He's got more energy to put into it. Um,
Mm.
the soul can be returned early only through life giving. The target is at minus 75% for subconscious activity. Target is unconscious until soul is restored. Now,
Yeah, and life giving was, if we remember back a few slides, was one of those higher level spells. Yeah.
yes, it can return your soul or also raise you from the dead, I believe. Um, okay, now we've got absolution. Okay, as absolution pure, absolution pure, as absolution except soul can only be brought back through life giving. Um, Holy Bridge is the 50th level spell. 1 round, cleric's deity. Wait a minute. Opens a direct channel to the cleric's deity. Results depend on the deity's personality, motives, and powers. Any spell the deity can cast can be transmitted through the gate. So you're basically just talking to. You can talk if you can cast a spell. You can just call your deity and ask them for whatever. I mean, that doesn't mean they have to do it. All it says is it opens a channel. It's up to the deity what they want to happen.
Right. Oh, I'm in big trouble. I need you to help me out with all of this. And then your deity will decide, well, you're a little light on your tithing last week. I'm not so sure.
Or they might get really pissed. I mean,
Depending on which one it was. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Why are you calling me? I told you about calling me in the morning.
Yeah. No kidding. Haven't had my breakfast yet. You did not give me any souls last week. You have no help this week yet.
That's right.
Maybe I'll just take yours. Right. That was excellent. Yeah. So that you could easily see just how nasty that club is.
Yeah, no, you do not want to get hit by that if
Yeah.
you're using its once a day spell effect.
What else we got? Okay, here's some more there. Some detection mastery lists there, right?
Yeah,
Um, and it's one of those things we were talking about there, detecting the different types of spells and stuff too. But we mentioned specifically detect undead. Um, this seems to be from another list though. As detect channeling, except detects presence of undead. Detect channeling then all the way at the top. Oh, the main description of it is at the top. 1 minute per level, range 50 foot, detects any active spell or item from the channeling realm. He can concentrate in a 5 foot radius uh, each round. Okay, so then we detect undead. Basically, it's the same type of spell, except for it reveals the undead as opposed to just channeling spells.
and I included this one because I think these kinds of spell lists are once again highly underrated. There's a lot of utility in a spell list like this. Um,
Yeah, I think like detect traps. Oh man, you
right.
know,
Gives a 75% chance of detecting a trap, may be modified by certain traps. That's the 7th level spell. Detect invisible, perceive power, detect channeling, except it gives an estimate of the power of the person, quote unquote, level or item the spell examined. I mean, that's very helpful information. Poison analysis, power typing, as detect channeling accepted, analyzes general spell type in terms in item or cost, and what profession cast or created it. Or in case of a person, it gives the exact profession. So you can cast that on a target person and know what their profession is,
Mm-hmm.
which matters in Rolemaster a little more than some other game systems because it's not as
Yeah.
obvious. Rolemaster isn't quite as archetypical as some other systems. There's anyone can learn to do anything in Rolemaster. I mean, except for
Yeah.
like they can't. I mean, this is an open. What is this? Is this open or let's see? Detection. I'm pretty sure detection mastery was open. It might have been closed, but anyone who can learn channeling can learn that. They don't have to be a cleric. A fighter could learn this spell list if they wanted to. Now
Sure.
they'd have to spend a shit ton of development points to do it, but they could do it. So what just because people have certain spells in Rolemaster does not mean you know what their class is.
No, exactly. Or and you look at it the other way. One of the easiest ways to disguise yourself is to learn how to use weapons and armor and stuff like this as a spellcaster, so that you don't appear to be a spellcaster. You appear to be an armed guard or something of some sort. Yeah.
Detect spell. I
Wait a
mean,
minute.
yeah, it's just
Yeah.
it's a great spell list.
Yeah. What else we got here? Ooh, disease. Oh, disease. Here we go. Here we talking. Here's Telemachus's favorite here.
Yeah, yeah.
We'll show him a couple of them here out of this. Yeah.
So we've got I mean, gray vision, smelling. Well, if you look at this, target gets a cold. Roll for severity. High is bad for target. Okay, well, once again, very open to the GM is open. That's open to interpretation. The GM can make a determination of what exactly the effect would be. That gray vision, as chills except target is colorblind. So you get a cold and you're colorblind. Smelling loss, hearing loss, no sense of hearing. Now that perception rolls become a big problem if you have hearing loss.
Right. Well, or look at the tongue rot. How can you cast a spell if you can't speak the?
Exactly. I mean, it's not a super high level spell, and a lot of players would not consider that. You know, you got an opponent spellcaster, you get a good tongue rot off. Now, it's not going to affect them in this combat, so it's not a super combat effective. It's as chills, except over the course of 1 week, the target's tongue will rot away and he will not be able to speak. But if you have not just a combat opponent, but a rival or an enemy, that long-term enemy, that's a great spell for them. Asthma, leprosy, as chills, except target gets leprosy, which causes a gradual loss of feeling in the extremities and blood flow. This doubles the effectiveness of wounds in those areas. Minor allergy, hemophilia. As
Mm-hmm.
chills, except the target becomes a hemophiliac, any hits per round and concussion hits are doubled, and healing hits requires double the normal expenditure. Malaria, epilepsy, pneumonia. I think leukemia, the 25th level spell is leukemia. As chills, except the target gets leukemia. Target will weaken at a rate of 2% per day, cumulative to all activity. When the total reaches 100%, the target is dead. Rabies, plague. As chills, except target gets a plague. If he fails a resistance roll, he will die 95% of the time within 10 minutes. The other 5% of the time, he believes that he resisted, but becomes a carrier instead. Anyone coming within 5 feet of the carrier must resist or face the same chances as the original target. So I could see a high-level evil spellcaster just casting plague on people until he creates a couple of carriers instead of killing them, and then they just go off. You know, he
Turn them
sends them
loose
off.
into a community or
Yeah,
something. There we go.
right.
Yeah, they can base a a whole
Here, we
campaign
brought some
around.
blankets for you.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. So yeah, there's some channeling as a is very. I think it's the most interesting realm of magic in Rolemaster, given how much input and um, the
Mhm.
game master has in terms of how it's going to work.
Yes, you can describe things and things exactly the way you want. There's a lot of flexibility in the spells and stuff that you got with what you can do. Again, we were talking about earlier on in here, if you were doing locate spells or information gathering spells and stuff like this, rather than just telling your players exactly what happens, you give them the omens, you describe, have certain effects and stuff happen, clues and stuff of that nature, as opposed to just direct information to it, and play it as if some medieval divine being was dropping hints.
So we've got that was of channeling. We've got 2 more realms of magic to go through in the future. We've got the next one would be of essence, which is book 2,
Yep.
and then we've got of mentalism, which is book 3.
We might as well go in that order. Yeah.
Yeah. And then after that, I think we've got campaign law, right?
Have you had a good chance to study
I have
campaign
not,
law?
but we've got time. We get one of these done
Time.
every 3 weeks or so I've got some time to look into that.
Yeah, it'll be a couple of weeks before I get to this one and get to our next run through. So the next one we will be doing is of essence.
That's right.
We'll talk about essence and essence spells and what the nature of those casters and the nature of that particular realm of magic.
Yep. Good, fun discussion. I love talking about spell law.
Yeah, and well, Rolemaster in general, it was a very well done system, a complete picture to it. Yeah,
I've got in my mind. I think what we could do is, I could do it. I've got Roll20 subscriptions. We could do some, at some point, some play tests of Rolemaster. Have some combats. Have some
show
stuff.
some examples. Yeah,
Yep.
to tie some all the pieces and stuff that we've been talking about together. Yeah, we can definitely do that.
Sounds good, man.
Definitely do that.
Well, thanks for having me on again.
Yeah, thanks for joining me again to talk about more about Rolemaster. We need to push this out there a little bit more. This is definitely a good system. There's a lot of good stuff in it. Even if you never use the game itself, there's a lot of good concepts and stuff that came out of this game that can be used anywhere.
And Ptolemychus, thanks for stopping by. Appreciate it.
Thanks, definitely. Thanks for hopping in and joining.
Bring more people.
bring more comments. Yeah, we're all about discussing all this kind of stuff. No, I don't. That doesn't mean they can't watch the replay. That's
Sure.
fine with me too.
Yeah.
But we can do all the long stuff. Yeah, well, exactly. Later on there, Ptolemychus, thank us again for joining. Thanks, Gonzalo, for helping me out here.
No problem.
And I will go ahead and bring us down. Well, there we go. A little bit of discussion on channeling there from first edition Rolemaster and part of the spell law. Hopefully you enjoyed this little stream about what we were talking about. Please like and subscribe. If you want to see some more of this stuff, hit that bell icon so that you're notified when we're doing these things. I can't exactly commit to them on a regular basis, but I'll do my best to try and make them as regular as possible for more of these discussions. And this isn't the only thing that I plan on discussing with all of this. So keep checking back, and maybe I'll hit a game system that you're interested in taking a look at. Thanks again for joining me here on the Great Old Ones channel. Please like and subscribe. Thanks.